Our project will be on behavioural learning theory. The aims of this podcast will be to explain what behavioural learning theory is, outline the ideas of Pavlov and Skinner related to behavioural learning theory, and also to show how these theories are practiced in the classroom. So what is behavioural learning theory?
Behavioural learning theory explores how learning is affected by learners' environment without taking automatic cognitive functions into account. According to psychology and education, the outcome of learning is change in behaviour, and it emphasises the effects of external events on the individual.
So who were the key philosophers of behavioural learning theory and what were their ideas?
The next theorist we will look at is Ivan Petrovich Pavlov. Ivan Pavlov was born on September 14, 1849 in Ryazan, Russia. His father was a priest and he himself spent a few years studying in a theological seminary. He left religious studies to study natural science in St. Petersburg. He was very interested in physiology and was highly regarded in this field of study. He married his wife Sarah on the 1st of May 1881, but their life was not easy as they suffered from poverty and many tragedies. He died in Leningrad on February 27, 1936. Pavlov's main theory was based on classical conditioning. According to psychology and education, this is the association of automatic responses to new stimuli. Pavlov's experiment with dogs helped him to come up with the theory of classical conditioning.
Pavlov's dog experiment. When experimenting on dogs, Pavlov noticed that a dog would start salivating whenever he entered the room to feed it. This was an unconditioned response to stimulus, i.e. food. He then started ringing a bell when giving the dog food. After a while, the dog began to salivate whenever it heard the bell. This bell was therefore a conditioned stimulus. Pavlov measured the levels of salivation to determine this.
So now we'll take a look at Pavlov's theory in practice in the classroom.
In the first example, when the teacher says freeze, the students instinctively know when to stop messing.
Freeze!
In the next example, the teacher will put on countdown music, to which the students respond by speeding up and trying to finish their work quicker. When the bell goes, the students know when to get up and leave.
Next we move on to B.F. Skinner. Boris Frederick Skinner was born on March 20th, 1904 in Pennsylvania. He attended Hamilton College in New York and wanted to become a writer. After receiving his Bachelor of Arts in English Literature in 1926, he went to Harvard University where he earned a PhD. Here he met Fred Keller, who inspired him to begin his behavioural research. He also worked at University of Minnesota and at Indiana University, where he was chair of the psychology department from 1946 to 1947. He married Yvonne Blue in 1936 and had 2 daughters. He died of leukemia on August 18, 1990 in Cambridge, Massachusetts.
Skinner's main theory was based on operant conditioning. According to psychology and education, operant conditioning is learning in which behaviour is strengthened or weakened by consequences or antecedents. Skinner used rats to experiment on this theory.
Operant conditioning. Skinner placed a rat in the Skinner box. When the rat accidentally hit the lever, the dispenser would give the rat some food. After a while, the rat realised that if it hit the lever, it would receive food and therefore repeatedly hit the lever. This is called positive reinforcement. Next, he would put the rat in the box and administer a small electric shock. When the rat accidentally hit the lever, the shock would stop. Therefore, the rat learned that if he hit the lever when put in the box, the shocking would stop. This is called negative reinforcement. Schedules of reinforcement. We can use reinforcements and punishments in different ways to get the desired effect. For example, when and to what level. The 4 schedules of reinforcements are: fixed ratio. Reinforcement is used after a specific number of responses. A variable ratio. Providing reinforcement after an unpredictable number of responses. This schedule creates a high steady rate of responding. A fixed interval. This is using a reinforcement after a specific amount of time has passed. A variable interval. This is a reinforcement used after an unpredictable amount of time has passed. This schedule creates a slow, steady rate of response. So this time, let us see how teachers use operant conditioning with students.
Positive reinforcement. The teacher encourages good behaviour by giving the student a sweet. Negative reinforcement. The teacher gives less homework because the student worked well in class.
Positive punishment. The teacher gives extra homework because the students were not participating well in class. Negative punishment. The teacher takes away the student's phone because they were using it in class when they shouldn't be.
It's clear that these learning theories are very relevant to us, as they are extremely important for educating our students.
We would like to thank everyone who helped in the making of this podcast, and you, the audience, for watching.